comes to fast food, I think we all know that there is a lot we don't know about it. But just how bad could it really be? Well, if these stories I'm about to share with you are true, then you may never be able to look at fast food restaurants the same ever again. Welcome back, guys. My name is Kennedy, and today we are counting down some of the most outrageous secrets the fast food industry does not want you to know about. So get ready, because this is the top 10 scary things fast food employees refuse to talk about. Starting us off at number 10, a Toronto Tim Hortons. This one was posted by a now deleted Reddit account, and they speak about a specific Tim Hortons in the city of Toronto that honestly sounds like it should have been shut down for health code violations. Quote, "Some of us grab at the chance at revenge by spitting in coffee cups, using dirty lids that have cracks and will clearly break and spill all over you in a matter of seconds, or use tea bags that have fallen on the floor and have been smothered by our dirty and sweaty shoes for their tea, as well as putting salt into people's cups instead of sugar. Some people even go as far as blowing their noses and using that same napkin to give to the customer hiding behind a clean one. There are a lot of bad things that have been done by workers to the customers, but they happen to us as well. So listen, I know that fast food workers often get treated so badly by people all day. And from the sounds of this post, they were only ever doing this to retaliate when people were already being rude as hell, but some of this is just straight up disgusting. Next up at number 9, Subway's bread. This next one is definitely not the most disgusting on the list, but it's still a pretty concerning take on our health regulations. The smell of Subway bread is a very distinctly sweet scent that just about anyone who's ever walked through a food court would be able to identify. And wouldn't you know, there is apparently a very predictable reason the one and only Subway bread in particular is so identifiable, and it's because it's, well, chocked full of sugar. And by chocked full, I mean sugar makes up roughly 10% of its overall composition. Now, the craziest part of all of that is that in Ireland, even though they still have Subway, their food standards state that any bread sold within its borders must clock in at less than 2% sugar. So they actually don't call it or even really consider it bread. Instead, they are named sub rolls. This all came out when a franchise in Galway, Ireland tried to challenge a takeout food tax, arguing that it didn't apply to his Subway restaurant because bread was a staple food. But 5 judges concluded that Subway bread doesn't count as staple food because it isn't actually bread at all. Next up at number 8, fry oil. When it comes to appliances in fast food kitchens, the deep fryer is working overtime. Truly, that thing is on from the minute they open until the second they close, and you would think, or rather hope, that if something involving that much blistering hot fat was being used that much, it would also be cleaned at least kind of regularly? Apparently not. According to one Reddit user, Worder375, quote, "The fry oil at our place never changed once in the roughly 5 months that I worked there. By the time I left, it was almost black." And it wasn't just at their store. Another user chimed in to agree, saying, quote, "After 43 years in food service, my advice is to cook your own food. I've worked in places that never change out their deep fry oil. Just filter it and add more." Now, I wish I could have lived my life in bliss unaware of this fact, but since I have to know, now so do you. But the real question is, do you think you'll take your chances with the deep fryer next time you're getting fast food? Coming in at number 7, ice cream machine. It's everyone's favorite thing to never order, cause, well, the machine is always broken, or at least that's the story we as the customers always get. According to these next 2 Redditors, they have a lot more going on in their ice cream machine than they want the public to know about. User Silly Bronson wrote, quote, "A coworker dumped mop water through the ice cream machine in an attempt to clean it, like the part where the soft serve goes to freeze. I am not sure what world this employee was living in when they decided this would be a good idea, but one can only hope that it wasn't too black and disgusting when it was poured into the machine. On the other hand, sometimes the ice cream machine can be gross all on its own. According to a now deleted Reddit account, they said, quote, "My daughter worked at a famous fast food drive-in chain and said she was cleaning out the ice cream machine and found a rat at the bottom. So maybe it's for the best that the machine is always broken, otherwise I could be getting mop water or rat-infested ice cream." Next up at number 6, chicken nuggets. If I had to pick my go-to item on a McDonald's menu, it's gotta be the nuggets. So this one hurt a little extra to hear. A Reddit user named D.Funkatron, who identifies himself as a former McDonald's employee, recalls one particular day at work where, quote, "I accidentally left a whole bag of about 100 chicken nuggets out on the counter for way too long. They melted into a pool of liquid. I never understood why, but they were completely indiscernible as being the nuggets I once knew." Now, how might that happen? How does frozen meat melt into a pool of alien sludge? Well, some think it's because it's not really proper meat, but rather a mechanically created meat wherein a slurry is created where the bones and carcass of a leftover chicken are mixed together in a food processor. Now, to be clear, McDonald's official stance is that the company does not process any of its meat products in the manner that is described in the mechanically separated chicken story, but if that's true, then honestly, what the hell happened to those frozen chicken nuggets? Coming in at number 5, machine maintenance. One thing that I'm learning today is that the machines in a fast food chain do not really get cleaned as often as one might hope. According to one Reddit user, quote, "When I worked at McDonald's, the orange juice machine was only cleaned when an employee would have some and say, 'This tastes like mold.' I was usually the lucky one. I'm sorry. What?" But the gross cleaning practices don't just stop at the orange juice machine. According to another Reddit user, it's all of them. Quote, "The ice machine in every kitchen I've ever worked in is disgusting. They're nearly impossible to clean, requiring a lot of time and disassembly to actually clean them properly. Not to mention that people tend to forget the need for hygiene when it comes to ice. I'm talking about leaving the ice scoop on the floor, not washing their hands, loose hairs floating around there, etc. If it wasn't already dirty because the machine never gets cleaned properly, it's dirty because folks are nasty around the ice. The same goes for every beverage dispenser, mixer, ice cream machine, etc. So apparently, no machine is safe." Coming in at number 4, no customers, no rules. When it comes to fast food, there is, or I guess I should say there is supposed to be, pretty straight and narrow rules and guidelines that all food industry workers have to follow. And while these rules are generally stuck to when customers are there to bear witness, according to another story from BuzzFeed, all these rules and regulations tend to fly out the window the minute employees are alone in the store. At least, where this person worked. Quote, "I worked at a Burger King for 8 years. Whenever the store is getting ready in the morning, before the doors open, none of the food safety rules apply. No gloves, no hand washing, nothing." And it's not just Burger King. Another user echoed this sentiment saying, quote, "I worked at a small bakery. Being sanitary and clean is just for show. In front of customers, we would use paper and gloves to pick up food, but then we would use our bare hands to touch pastries when customers weren't around. Now, I don't even understand this. What is the reason? Who hurt you? Now I will forever be stressed that someone who never washes their hands made my food." Coming in at number 3, don't order the coleslaw. If you thought it couldn't get grosser than that last one, well, I regret to inform you, it will. According to Reddit user Buddy Turner 2014, the worst thing they routinely saw while working at a fast food restaurant was when, quote, "the hairiest men would make coleslaw with no gloves, and for perspective, we would make a giant tub at a time. You're literally armpit deep sometimes in this bin to mix it correctly. Please don't eat the coleslaw. Now, the good news for me is I'm not much of a coleslaw person to begin with, but my condolences to anyone who may have unknowingly eaten some armpit BO. And hair-infused slaw out there. Coming in at number 2, a Mayo Disaster. This next one comes from a now deleted Reddit account, and I have to say, it is actually a bit gobsmacking in terms of the audacity this manager had. The way this entire ordeal was truly 100% avoidable, I mean, well, why don't I just get right into it? Quote, at one of my first jobs at a fast food chain, my boss and I went to the storage garage to get a big box of mayonnaise. There was a small hole in the box, and when we opened it, a rat had eaten to the middle of the mayonnaise and died. Gross enough, but then my boss scraped out the rat and the mayo around it, then took the rest and served it. I didn't eat there for months. Now, they didn't say what restaurant or where this happened, but all I can think about is the fact that I could have had dead rat mayonnaise at some point in my life. I mean, you'd think when you find a dead animal in the food, you just throw it away. Apparently not. And last up in our number 1 spot today, rotting food. So it's not just potential dead rats or molding machines that could be hiding behind the counters. According to this next story from a BuzzFeed article, some restaurants might actually be serving already rotting food. Quote, I worked in a pizza chain where the manager would make his own bread. We used them for garlic rolls as well as subs. While making garlic rolls, I noticed mold on them and proceeded to throw them into the trash. The owner decided to take the rolls out and told me to scrape off the mold and freeze them. The customers would never know. All of the vegetables were prepped and frozen, then defrosted in the dirty sinks for subs and pizza. He would make us remove all the bags and store them in a coworker's freezer if the health department came, because they were stored in grocery bags. But that's not all. We would freshly slice potatoes for fries, and even if they were rotten, he would make us slice them for customers and wash off the smelly gunk. Dressings would go bad, and he would tell us to mix them with a new bottle so no one would know. There's a lot that goes on behind those doors. I left. I couldn't stomach serving people rotten food. I mean, honest to God, what is wrong with some people? Well, that's all the horror stories I've got for you today. Hopefully I haven't ruined your favorite menu item, and if I did, well, just know I ruined my own favorite one, so we're in this together. If you liked this video, then make sure to hit that subscribe button, and please let me know in the comments if you have any similarly horrifying stories about the fast food industry. Until next time, friends.